Okay, here we go.
As we approach America's 250th birthday, the Planet Mikey podcast takes a look at where America is today. We've got a special guest in town, someone who knows his way around. Separates the muck from the mire, working with Steve Robinson at the Maine wire. Please welcome John Fetherston to the Planet Mikey podcast. Wow. Mikey's introducing his new patriotic underwear. It's red, white, and blue with just a smudge of brown. Here's Mikey.
That's classy. That is classy there. By the way, you left out any mention of the color yellow, and that was an oversight on your part. I don't think there's any question about it, Smitty.
That's Vinny Popolo-Pupolo. You could take it up with him.
Yeah, Vinny Popolo-Pupolo. By the way, can I buy a vowel, Vinny? Sure, yeah. Give it to Vanna White in case she needs it. Vinny Popolo-Pupolo. I mean,
has he been paid yet? Have you paid him yet?
No, $15. You owe him $15. He's pissed off.
Don't even mention that, John. John Fetherston is. By the way,
maybe you should send him a My Grandma's coffee cake.
Vinny Popolo-Pupolo?
Yeah,
I gotta see which flavor he wants for. By the way, John, which flavor do you want on the My Grandma's coffee cake? Do you have any?
Well, I'm a big blueberry fan, but you don't need to do that. But yeah,
I'm happy to do that. Are you kidding me? You've been on this show now 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 times. It's been great every time. We learned a lot when you're on the show. And let me just let the audience know that John Fetherston, he's been around a little bit. He knows what's going on. And the reason is not only was he an elected official from the wonderful town of Ashland, but since then, he's done nothing but pay attention to political issues that concern the Bay. Is it the Bay State or is it? Is that where we are? Yeah, I think we're in the Bay State. And John Fetherston is now doing some stuff that I think is magnetic. He's working as an investigative, penetrating, he's the guy that goes in as what's that show that Peter Falk used to be on? Columbo. He's like the Columbo of the political world in Massachusetts, and they're uncovering stuff in the great state of Maine. They're getting to the bottom of stuff, and it's great because you're fearless. You're fearless. And
thank you, Mike.
He learned
it's the nicest thing that anybody's ever said about me. Thank you.
He learned the fearless thing too from having to run that Maura Healey Hotel shelter in Marlborough, where they even tried to crash into your office with a car to put you out of business, and all you were doing was your job.
They didn't try, Mike. They did. They did. Yeah.
There's the car. That car crashed. That's your office right there. The window at which that car crashed was your office when you were running that program there. They tried to. That was an attempted murder, I think.
It was. The only thing that really saved my life. Have you ever been in the hotels that have the little units? The heating and air conditioning units that are like kind of just up off the floor and stuff. If that hadn't been there, he would have totally run me right over. And because not only did he run his car into that there once, he backed up and tried to do it again. So
he took two shots at you.
Two shots. Yep, 2 shots. So
now was he? Was it a Haitian guy?
He was a Haitian resident of the Marlborough Holiday Inn. He was actually ticketed for that, believe it or not, because I kind of really went after the cops about that. Sure. Uninsured, no driver's license, uninsured.
But he had a car.
But he had a car. Yeah.
And I wonder where you got the money.
And you paid for it, Mike. You paid for it, with your tax dollars.
Where'd you get the money for this car? Oh, Voodoo, man. I got it from Voodoo. I mean, it's crazy. So that was a tough gig for you, but, and I was over there a couple of times. You did your job respectfully to all the people there. You weren't picking fights with people, but you were obeying the rules, and they weren't. They were cooking food in the hallway, right?
Well, they were cooking more than food. A couple people cooking meth, cooking food in the hallway. Caught a man impregnating his own daughter there in the shelter. Had another serial rapist. But the big takeaway that I had. I mean, of course, I think the biggest thing is the guy impregnating his own daughter. But
that was terrible.
You are reading now, and wink, wink, maybe I've leaked and connected people with other people, maybe, just maybe. You're reading about all of the EBT card fraud in Massachusetts and in
Yes.
the rampant. Well, it's because most of the residents, not all, most of the residents of these Healey hotels, for instance, a man's name was Ronald Joseph. That's the man who impregnated his own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I would deliver his mail and go, oh, Ronald Joseph got an EBT card today to room, 303 or whatever it was. But Joseph Ronald also got a EBT card today. And like, wait a minute. So if you've delivered one EBT card to a hotel room, you've delivered, many EBT. So I reach out to the state and say, I think you got a problem here. Like, they're double dipping, they're triple dipping. How dare you say that? They're coming to our country. We're just trying to take care of them. I'm like, you guys, you have a problem. Your caseworkers are teaching them how to use the system. And I know that they have multiple EBT cards. I know they have multiple voter registrations.
Yes.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Okay, well, but they do. Okay, so now that you're seeing this stuff, come to light, I knew this stuff 2 years ago, and tried to tell the state about it, and I was told to shut my mouth.
So how are they getting registered to vote, these people from Haiti?
Well, thanks to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, when he opened up the borders and he invited everybody here, he almost all, and the key word is almost all of the people that lived in these Healey hotels came here and were given social security numbers and registered to vote by design, because Biden purposely brought all of these people here to, get them on the voter rolls. Right. So they all had social security numbers, and I had hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations with these asylum lawyers because they all came here under asylum.
Right.
Asylum lawyers are pretty candid with you. 1 out of 10 of these people will hopefully get asylum, and the other 9 won't, and they're all bogus charges and claims, and it just buys them.
But they stay.
It buys them. Yeah. It buys them time and country legally. Right. And then, of course, when the legal standard runs out, then they just become part of the system.
Yeah,
where
they say, I've been here 9 years. What's wrong?
Right.
And I'm working a job, and I got my kids are in school, and this and that and the other thing. Now, is it?
They're your neighbors, Mike.
Is that part of the TPS, the temporary protected status
yes.
formula? Is that what that's all about?
Correct. Yep. Correct. Yep.
Now, what is it that Ed Markey and other dimwit douchebags like him don't understand about the word temporary?
Well, there are people who respect law and order, and then there are people who are oblivious to law and order. And, much like I'm running up to here in Maine with the Somali community, I was running into it in Massachusetts. If you question, the program, or you question, the fraud, well, you're a racist. Well, I'm talking about an EBT card. I'm not talking about a person's country of origin. I'm not talking about, where they come from or what their nationality is. Right. I'm talking about fraud. But
fraud, and no matter who does it, no matter who's doing fraud, it's fraud. It's not
fraud, right?
It's not racism.
It's not racism. But, the Democrat playbook is to, pull the race card, call everybody and say that, you're targeting somebody. I'd write it, and I've said it before. If you were an Irish Catholic and you were doing this, I'd write the same story as if you were a Jewish person or an Italian American or whatever. Fraud is fraud.
They're trying to shut you up. That's what they're trying to do by pulling the race card, is shut you up, make you feel like you should be ashamed of yourself for bringing up an obvious issue. And so they throw that out there in order to quell all conversation about the topic.
100%. 100%.
Wow. Now, let me ask you about that Maine stuff, because I've seen a lot of your videos. And by the way, to follow John Fetherston on X, you should. It's All Politics is Local, correct?
Right. All Politics is Local.
It's local. That's John's handle on X, and the videos you've been doing to John. And again, not unlike the young kid in California or in Minnesota who. You're going right to the door and asking questions that are pertinent questions regarding the topic. Like, you're a child care center here. How come there are no kids? That's part. Isn't there supposed to be children in a child care center? Tell me what you've been doing. I saw the one where you got kicked out of the Democratic convention because they thought you might write an article that wasn't positive about them. Tell us about that.
That would be correct. That was just this past Friday. The chair of the Maine Democratic Convention, I must live rent-free in this, I'll say it, this pretty girl's head. Walking into the convention, the week prior, I cover the GOP convention, and, all media was there, and national media and local media was there, and it was a very accessible event. So I'm walking in on Friday afternoon, and all of a sudden I hear this voice going, "What?" And like, "Come on, John, you have to leave. You have to leave." I'm like, "Why do I have to leave? I haven't even got in yet. I haven't even got in yet." And she said, that I was going to write a negative article about her, and I was going to post it on Facebook, and both are true. I did write a negative article about her, and I did post it to Facebook, but they didn't want me to cover. Now get this. I call him the fraud father. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz came to Maine. Keynote speaker at the convention. Jeez. The guy who's, allowed billions of dollars worth of fraud, come to Maine to talk at the Democrat convention, where when it all comes out, I am very confident that there is more fraud in Maine than there was in Minnesota, if you can believe it or not. Because, Maine is a large state miles wise, but, there's only 1.4 million people who live in Maine. So when you take the economy of scale of the fraud that's being committed here and compare it to Minnesota, it's going to dwarf it. But I have found over 140 home health care agencies out of Maine that all have Minnesota phone numbers. Now think about that.
Wow.
They have Minnesota phone numbers.
That's the Somali connection. No question about it. It has to be.
100%. But you saying that, Mike, you're targeting the Somali community by your comments there.
Oh, sure.
Which is what they say to me. So I have been to hundreds of home health care agencies, not once, not twice, not 3 times, multiple times, knocking on doors with their business hours posted. Very rarely, if ever, find a human being. I call the phone numbers that are listed. Oftentimes they're disconnected, or they'll just go to a generic, like cell phone voicemail.
Yeah.
But they're billing the state of Maine millions of dollars, and services aren't being actually even rendered. And when I do actually go to homes and find, if services are being rendered, I almost wish I didn't find them, because they're so horrific. You find clients covered in their own feces, clients that haven't taken showers for 9 months, clients that are being taken care of by healthcare officials that can't speak or read English, so they're not on their medication schedules, they're not on their dietary schedules. If people aren't mad about this, it's time to really wake up and pay attention.
Of course, they should be mad about this, and of course, this work that you're doing, is long overdue nationwide in all kinds of fraud situations. California, Minnesota, you're in Maine doing it and uncovering all this awful stuff. But let me ask you a question: who's responsible for it getting to this point? Name names.
Well, specifically here in Maine, there is a organization called Gateway Community Services, and on paper, it's an immigrant helping organization. You come to America, they get you signed up for benefits, they get you signed up for health care, and you sit there and go, okay, well, this is a non-government organization, and then you start doing diggings, and there's a state rep by the name of Decca Delac, who is the second in charge at Gateway Communities. And she's an influential state rep. She also happens to be from Somalia. And then, wait a minute, you stumble across a video of her in Somalia while she's a state rep in Maine, raising money for the gentleman who runs Gateway Communities by the last name of Ali. And he's running for the president of Jubaland. I didn't even know where Jubaland was before I started working for the Maine Wire. So you've got these two influential people taking your American tax dollars and raising money to become the president of Jubaland, so he can take your tax dollars and buy guns for his militia because whoever has the most guns in Jubaland becomes like the president of Jubaland.
Isn't it easier just to mail a check to the Nigerian prince who needs the money? Like, isn't that smarter and easier to do for people? This is really a very distressing, John. I'm sure to you and definitely to me. And if the people of Maine understand and know this stuff, how can it not be distressing to the tax-paying citizens of the state of Maine?
Well, because it all circles back to the Democrat leadership, and specifically here in Maine, you look at the ties between Gateway Community Services, which is now in front of the House Congressional Oversight Committee because of the work that we've done here at the Maine Wire. But you look at the connections, and it's all connected back to Governor Janet Mills. Janet Mills is, has appointments. She holds campaign rally events with her. This is all part of like her keeping her power. She'll look the other way, turn the other cheek, ignore the fraud, ignore the consequences. But hey, when I need Gateway Community Services to hold me a fundraiser, I need Gateway Community Services employees to hold campaign signs or make campaign donations. When I say jump, you say how high. Now, that's exactly what.
Do you think she's dropped out of the race because A, she's going to be discovered with this stuff, or B, because she looks like Austin Powers after a car accident?
Well, I just want to go on the record straight that I chased Governor Mills down the hallway of the Augusta State House just about 12 hours before she quit her race for United States Senate. And I was chasing her down the hallway going, do you think you're polling so bad in your U.S. Senate race because you weren't tougher on fraud? And then the next day she dropped out. So I'm taking credit for Janet Mills dropping out.
And that was also the first time she's ever been chased by a man down the hallway. I'm sorry. Did I say that? Okay, I was kidding. So now the Maine Wire, they are like really gathering a lot of moss. The Rolling Stones gathering no moss. They are getting a lot of attention for all this stuff. And are they not gaining strength in the community for uncovering this stuff? I mean, because your work has been stellar.
The Maine Wire is on a straight up trajectory because, we do investigative reporting, like I kid, we don't do stories on the local bake sales and we don't do puppy dog stories or anything. We do investigative journalism. And even though, we do controversial like topics, nobody's ever questioned our reporting because you guys all know Steve Robinson. Steve Robinson, a man of great integrity and great, standards. He's built the Maine Wire. We do our homework, we cross our T's, we dot our I's. We're not always the fastest, and we never will be the fastest, but we do our work, and we expose fraud in the state. And unfortunately, there's just so much fraud to expose, and people are mad about it. And we are now the number one social media, media in the state. We've gone from nowhere to number one. We do a program, and Mike, we'd love to have you on the program. We do Maine Wire TV every day at 4:00. We get better numbers than the local news get. And it's just, myself. It's myself, Tom Shattuck, who you guys all know. And
the
Steve
burn
Robinson.
barrel, the burn barrel boy.
Yes, the burn barrel
Tom,
boy.
I worked with him. We both, Smitty and I both worked with him at Entercom. Do they need a reporter? See, I think there might be some lumberjack fraud going on in Maine, and I'm starting to look like one. Do you think you could dress me up in a flannel shirt and some, orange day glow? Oh, see, this is how I look in orange. I'll go undercover. And,
I love it.
By now, nobody in Maine remembers who I am anyway.
We'd love it. Get up here. Come on, we'll have some fun.
Oh, man.
We'll have some fun.
John Fetherston, a man of strong moral fiber, along with the Maine Wire, who also maintains that same characteristic, which is moral fiber. Let's get the media to do more actual reporting of actual facts so people don't just get the sanitized versions of all these political stories, John.
It's really, when I was going through the problems in Massachusetts with the Healey hotels, I could go on any national news show and talk about, the tragedies going on in the Healey hotels, but none of the Boston stations would ever cover it. So I always thought, Massachusetts had the worst media. Well, that was until I came up to Maine. The liberal media here in Maine, which is basically, the big newspapers are owned by Soros, and Portland Press Herald is owned by George Soros. So there's very, horrible coverage. The Bangor Daily News, which is another big newspaper up in northern Maine, actually got $2.4 million from the Governor Mills administration so they would write nice things about her. So you do not have a balanced media here. It's very, very, very liberal, or it's the Maine Wire. And you know me, Mike, I try to be fair. I do believe there are three sides to every story. And, listen, I go to a Democrat, convention to have conversations with people to, find out what's going on.
And they don't let you in. Because they got they got something to hide. And the stories is what they're hiding first. And you're getting to the bottom of it, John. I give you a lot of credit for that. And I want you to keep that up. Let's talk about some of these Massachusetts politicians, though, if we can. Because it's a mess. It's such a mess. I'm a centrist libertarian. That means I believe in small government and a safety net, but I hate waste and fraud. Now, you're dealing with fraud in Maine. They're dealing with fraud in Minnesota. They're dealing with it in California and many other states. I'm sure Illinois is filthy. But I'm also sure that Massachusetts is filthy. And I'm going to pinpoint some people who might be responsible for that, and I'd like your comments.
Sure.
Maura Healey. Now, failures in the shelter system, the housing market, her ICE support is totally lackluster. It's not there. But just to mention one fact that makes me sick about Massachusetts and all politicians on the left. Between 2022 and 2024, a study found that Massachusetts spent over $1 billion in SNAP payment errors. That's not SNAP payments. That's the errors that they fraudulently sent out to people. Now, that's a complete failure, is it not?
It's a complete failure. And here's the thing. I've known Maura Healey for 20-something years. When she was Attorney General, I certainly didn't agree with her politics, but she was middle of the road. She was pretty good. She literally sold her soul, Mike, to Joe Biden because she wanted to be the Attorney General of the United States of America.
Right.
So she played along with Biden and said, "Hey, send all of your open border people up here to Massachusetts.
Right.
I'll put them up. I'll make the taxpayers of Massachusetts pay for it. But when you're reelected president, I want to be your new attorney general." And there's no gray area there. That's all facts.
Well, he might have just forgotten that she had that conversation with him.
And she was actively campaigning to be the AG of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And we all, thankfully that didn't work out, but she sold her soul.
Yeah.
And she went so far, woke that there's no way back. The only thing that confuses me is how is she going to be easily reelected in this next election?
Well, as you said, she sold her soul, but she probably should have sold her Subaru and for all the hirings that she's done. I mean, that's unbelievable. Now, the immigration situation in Massachusetts, foreign-born Massachusetts residents, foreign-born, make up 18%, this is documented, of the population, 21.9% of the workforce. Does that affect the tax revenues in Massachusetts? I mean, it seems to me like it would. We know how it affects the housing, the hospital crowding, the school classroom crowding, this immigration issue. But how about financially?
Financially, it has, huge impacts because, when I would hold, weekly meetings and, in these Healey hotels, and I would encourage, the state was paying for it, was providing English as second language to many people. And I was trying to explain to, people, like, you really need to take these classes because if you don't speak English in America, you're always going to be stuck in a low income type job.
Right.
And people got mad about that. Oh, you can't tell me that I have to learn a language. I'm like, I'm not telling you. I'm giving you some friendly advice. So what you're going to have now is you're going to have a whole, because of the millionaires tax, you've driven out people with money in Massachusetts, and you've replaced them with low-income, non-English speaking people. Now, I don't think you need much more than a fourth grade education to realize that's going to have devastating impacts on your economy going forward. And you're already starting to see it in Massachusetts. The people who can afford to leave have already left or are making plans to leave. The economy is crashing. Businesses are struggling to find, capable workers. And they're like, why are we staying in Massachusetts and paying all these high costs? We can't find, Massachusetts, you always used to have the best of the best to find, because
Sure.
of the good, the good schools. You could find good workers. Well, one, people aren't going to school anymore, or two, they're not coming to Boston anymore. And, Mike, I'll even make the analogy, to your background, the sports analogy. If you're a professional athlete, why would you come to Massachusetts and sign a multi-million-dollar contract and give 2% to Maura Healey that you wouldn't have to give, in another state? So
that's right. And it's big money when you talk about that, the amount of money.
Huge money.
That they've garnished from that millionaire's tax, but the exact effect that they're trying to accomplish is the opposite. They're losing people in a tax base because people are saying, I'm not going to stay here and pay money for nothing. I'm going to go maybe to New Hampshire, right across the border.
If the Red Sox are in the bidding for a free agent and, they can either go to Florida or Arizona or Massachusetts.
Sure.
Where are they going to go?
By the way, do you have a scoop for us on that? Because the Red Sox need a free agent. Jesus, they're a mess, and they're chanting "Sell the team" when John Henry shows up at the ballpark. And I got to tell you, when you can't hit, and they won a game yesterday 5-4, and I was like, woohoo, But they're in last place. They're in last place in batting average. It's really terrible to watch that team, and you know how people feel about the Red Sox. So anyway, but I want to ask you about Ayanna Pressley.
Oh,
she's
a racist.
Yeah, she's a racist. Exactly right. And it's been clear with all the things that she said and all the things she's done. I'm going to try to sum her up in a few words here. Fraudulent enrichment. The husband got the gift housing project contract. The ex-con husband of hers. So is he capable of criminal behavior? Gee, I don't know. And the fact that she, the timing of that was, the ethics experts, John, have raised questions about Conan Harris, her husband, launching his consulting firm just 3 days before Pressley was sworn into Congress.
Just a coincidence.
The firm's income surged from his previous city salary of $92,500 to over $1 million annually by 2022. Through work with government-linked organizations. And the watchdog groups have scrutinized how Pressley's net worth transitioned from a negative balance in 2018, 7 years ago, to as much as $8 million in assets by 2024. Would that raise a red flag with you if you were an investigator?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. But, don't question her, Mike. Don't question her. You have no right to question her. Yeah, she gets very angry. Yeah, she's got anger issues. Yep.
So we got her. We got Maura Healey. Let's talk about some of the other Democrats. And they're largely women, or will be. No, I'm sorry. Michelle Wu. Michelle Wu, I say she's a commie. She ran unopposed. So that's kind of weird, and that's in Massachusetts. That happens a lot, where there isn't even a Republican candidate running because they know that they're up against it because of the way people vote in Massachusetts. But she has done so many. One thing that bothers me about Michelle Wu, she said we're going to have free buses on 3 different routes. In other words, 3 different neighborhoods get to have free buses based on just because she says so. And they all happen to be in these specific neighborhoods. But if you're going to give away free service, is it fair to just give them to 3 different streets?
Well, first you have to define what free is, Mike, because, we
pay for it.
You and Bill Smith are paying for it. Like,
I know.
Nothing goes up me more the sideways.
I guess I should have put free. I should have put the word free in quotes.
Yeah. No, but isn't that targeting a community or making a class warfare almost? Like, well, if you live in this neighborhood, you get it for free, but if you live in this neighborhood, you have to pay for it. It's like no, that is not government's role, in my opinion.
And it's not like the T doesn't need money to. I mean, they're always in a budget deficit, and they're always a boondoggle to the entire state finance picture. So. That money should go. They need that money to break even or try to, right?
They have been kicking the can down the road in Massachusetts on MBTA budget, and that that rooster's coming home to roost real soon, and nobody's talking about it in Beacon Hill, and this is one of the reasons why they don't want the audit in Massachusetts.
Well, that's a huge topic, by the way. The fact that 72% want it, and then somehow the government has found a way to avoid scrutiny.
I don't understand this one. I've know Massachusetts politics pretty well, intimately almost, but Karen Spilka, Senate President, a colleague of mine from Ashland. I've known Karen Spilka for many, many years. The Karen Spilka that I knew and got to know from the school committee and me being on the board of selectmen, and then when she rose from power from a state rep to the Speaker of the House in Massachusetts, is not the Karen Spilka I know now. She would have never put up with this 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So how bad is the information that they're really hiding? Like, how bad is it really? Because, like, if you did nothing wrong, go ahead, come in, audit the books. Every other organization gets audited in the state.
Sure.
Come in and audit. And the fact that they're working so hard and successfully to this point to stop the audit, how bad is it really?
They're trying to prevent the Titanic from hitting that iceberg that's there right now, and they're heading straight toward it, and that's really, really alarming. The other thing about Michelle Wu, John, is that she got away with having a racist party with invitations sent out.
Multiple racist parties.
Only, then she said only for colored people can come to this Christmas party. Do you think that maybe the state should organize a party where no commies are allowed?
Well, the commie party, unfortunately, is becoming very, very powerful in Massachusetts. Elizabeth Warren was up in Maine last week, stumping for the Nazi communists, Graham Plattner, the guy who had a Nazi tattoo and, self-described communist. So, Elizabeth Warren came up here to endorse his campaign.
Well, she heard he was part Indian. You know what? Here's the thing about, and I'm glad you brought her up, because she would be the next person I would want to talk about. First of all, her income tax share. She has this thing where, the rich have to pay their fair share. How many times have we heard that from a Democrat? The rich have to pay their fair share. Here's a Massachusetts stat for you. You probably know this already. The high earners contribute to the Massachusetts coffers, with the top 1% paying roughly 38 to 45% of all state income tax revenue. I mean, how fair is that? So the 99% pays the rest. The 1% pays up to 45% of Massachusetts. And that's probably even worse now with the millionaire's tax, right?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, with the millionaire's tax, it's worse. Yep. No, but, Hiawatha will, yell and scream about, how bad billionaires are. Did you see that she sold her Spirit Airlines stock 10 days before
we have a graphic.
Cut down the company? Yes. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. There you go.
Yeah, she was chanting this to the spirit in the sky. What do I do with this? All these shares of this stock, and someone said, "Sell it." So she's made a lot of money. Just so we know about her finances, her $12 million net worth makes her obviously a 1%er. So she's working both sides of the street. But she's all into the fact that people should pay their fair share. Between 2023 and 2025, the new millionaire surtax generated approximately $6 billion in additional revenue dedicated to education and transportation. Oh, where'd the money go? Oh, we put it right over here. No, we put it over here. Okay, no, I don't know. We don't know. We haven't decided where we're going to put the money yet. The education process is supposedly benefiting from this millionaire's tax, and the scores are going down. The scores are going down. So where's the results-oriented Liz Warren bid on that? I mean, come on. You expect to have better results, don't you, when you spend a lot of money on stuff like that? And the transportation, look, isn't the T always operating at a deficit on an annual basis?
Correct. Yes,
take that money, put it to the T so we can shut up about it and stop giving free rides to people. How's that?
It's running a deficit, and it's often running late and not on schedule. So I mean, you just talk about continuing about privatize the tea, or get rid of it.
Yeah, do something so it doesn't lose money. It's like the post office. When are they going to get that act together? This story from East Boston, we're going to love this one. Now, by the way, if I sound like I'm in a bad mood, I'm really not. I'm in a really good mood because John Featherston's here, and he knows what he's talking about. He's doing God's work, trying to get the information out to the people of Maine and Massachusetts at the same time. But here's one for you. A Boston judge released a Colombian illegal immigrant on a personal recognizance after he allegedly shoved a police officer during an argument over a parking spot. He didn't make it out of the courthouse, though, because ICE agents were there waiting in the lockup. And this is a case where his name is Alejandro Orrego Agudelo, 27 years old. Arrested November 21st in East Boston after a dispute over a parking spot. According to police, Orrego kicked the neighbor's car and damaged the bumper, and then confronted the neighbor in the street. When a Boston police officer responded, Orrego allegedly pulled out his cell phone, shoved it in the officer's face, then pushed the officer in the chest. He was charged with assault and battery by a police officer, resisting arrest, malicious destruction of property, and disturbing the peace. Now, they had a little bit of a struggle. They couldn't really just lock him up very quickly. He was putting up a fight, according to the report, and there were bystanders gathering. And this is what happens. The minute you try to get one illegal alien, you can get a crowd around you, and you could be endangered, no question about it. The bottom line with this guy is, he said he was being, when he came here and claimed asylum, he was claiming asylum based on persecution for being gay in Colombia. I'm gay. They don't like me in Colombia. I'm in danger. Oh my God! So now he's out on the bond. He's still roaming around, and the parking spot, by the way, John, is still available. Good story, though, huh? And these are going on.
Unbelievable.
Countless cities have stories like this, and sometimes they turn out badly. Witness Minnesota's story. Yeah. Now, do you get any threats of any violence when you're up in Maine doing your stories?
Oh, constantly.
What kind of things
constantly?
Do people say?
Oh, well, there is a guy, a Somali influencer, who has gone online and indicated to the Somali community that Steve Robinson and myself need to be taken care of.
Oh, that's great.
Wink. I've done live broadcasts from Lewiston where people will drive by me and make gun signals at me.
That's subtle.
So much that I've been gifted a bulletproof vest from somebody. I've been gifted a gun by a local gun shop. The threats are real. And once again, it's we're going to keep doing what we're going to keep doing. We're going to still go knock on doors and not know what's behind these doors because
you're fearless, John. You're fearless. You need a bodyguard. I'm volunteering right now.
Come on up.
If you be my bodyguard, you can even call me Al.
I love that graphic, the wine bottle, though. Fake wine company.
It's
fake
so
wine.
much fakery and fraud going on, though. It's mind-boggling.
Why is she still in the United States of America?
Yeah,
she's here illegally. She married her brother. She's stolen millions, if not billions, of dollars of our money. Why is she still here? Revoke her rights and deport her. Like, why is she still here?
And never mind in Congress. This is where you say, well, what? Really? Well, that's how deep the Somalian penetration has been into our fraud community here in America, John Featherston. And I got to tell you that I'm grateful to you and to the Maine Wire. And if you need any backup, you're going anywhere. I'm a badass. I don't look like it on TV, but in person, I'm a nasty, scary guy. And I'll go with you to any place you want to go if you feel like you're in danger. I promise you that. Do you remember the last time you were on here? We did a tribute. We did a tribute to the food stamps program. Remember the musical?
Oh, I do.
Well,
I do remember that.
Instead of Joe
and Jerry, have another one? New one?
No, because we're so deep into politics here. We're gonna replay that 1 minute tribute to the food stamp program, and thank you, John Featherston, for coming on the show once again. Whenever you're on, we learn a lot, and keep up the good work, my friend.
You got to commit. You got to come on Maine Wire TV with us one day real soon, though, Mike.
I'll do that. You tell Steve he needs another undercover guy. I'll dress up as a woman if I have to. A Somali woman. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's play that food stamp thing. And everybody out there, think before you vote, for God's sake, in Massachusetts. And in Maine, get that fraud out of there. Here's our song.
When I get my food stamps. I buy food with my food stamps.
I buy food with my food stamps.
I like to buy Pepsi because that's what I drink.
I like to buy Pepsi because that's what I drink.
And I like snacks. I like to snack. The kids like to snack.
And I like snacks. I like the snacks. The kids like the snacks.
I need everything. I want to buy everything with my food stamps.